Yes, it's fantastic. It's completely unexpected because, for instance, this afternoon I went to ski, so I didn't expect to ski during that weekend. This morning I saw a masterpiece, the first Emirov film. Do you remember Doli Bel? And well, yesterday was a great day, so no, it's just fine. Yesterday I liked very much the short movies program. I was quite impressed by the quality of each film. It's so I have nothing to complain.
Well, before
and the village, I understood that it was built a few 10 years or 15 years ago, and before it was nothing. It was just a hill. So it's a miracle. Life is a miracle. So I saw only one program. I think there is 2 or 3 or 4. I arrived yesterday, so I saw only the program who was shown yesterday, and with very different short movies. And yes, I'm quite impressed by the selection because I made a bunch of short movies myself, so I know quite well. Well, I knew quite well the short movies festival, and I was quite impressed by the quality, the high quality program. I liked very much the first film I saw with a voiceover about that son who realizes that his father is mad. It's very touching and it's very beautifully shot. So far, perhaps it's my favorite short movie. Beautiful and moving. Directing script I wrote. That's the most enjoying. Writing, it's a very painful process, and but I like it even if it's painful. I think it's like a masochist pleasure. It's painful and it's very pleasant and inspiring to transform your own script on a film, and to, as a director, to transform a script, and to not to give importance to who wrote the script, even if it's yourself. If it's yourself, it's easier to say, well, what a bad script writer. No, I think I'm inspired by the place of men or women in the space. It could be in the nature, it could be in a city, but I try to be inspired by the connection between human beings and nature. Even if it's a city, it's now part of our nature, what we made of our world, and I try well to feel with images the kind of connection characters can have with the environment. So perhaps it's more striking in a film as Far From Man, who is 2 guys walking in a desert. So I think it's easier to see the connection and the place of nature. But I try to do the same thing with Close Enemies, which is shot in a city. There is not a touch of green during the film, but for me it's the same work. Trying to find the connection the characters have with the buildings, with the nature, with the lack of nature, or to feel the lack of connection with nature, which is the same thing. So everything is everything is inspiring for me if you have interactions between characters and environment. Well, I think people will always be interested in face-to-face interactions and relationship, like in a family. I'm very interested on family bonds. My first film was about father and son, and this film, Close Enemies, is about family and the complexity of the bonds inside a family. And I think in a family there is no influence of social networks so far, I think, and we still need face-to-face relation with parents, with cousins, with brothers. So I'm not very focused to write in that new type of relationship. I'm not obsessed with that. And perhaps because I think it doesn't change really the deep intimacy of people. Perhaps in 10 years ago, the social networks will not be so important. Perhaps, I'm not sure, but for me, perhaps it's just a temporary revolution. It will still exist, that's for sure, but it will not be so central on people's life, perhaps. Well, sincerely, I think he's a genius. I think he's a very important artist, not only movie director. He's a very important artist to me. For me, Underground, it's really a masterpiece. I saw that film a lot of times. And it's so rich that you can see and see it again, and you have still things to discover. And I saw again this morning, for instance, who remember Doli Bel? And perhaps after Underground, it's my second favorite film by Emirov. It's very tender. And it's, again, I think a masterpiece about family. Family, as I said, it's a very important theme to me. And it's a masterpiece about that film. Is family a jail or is a family a protection? And I was very touched and moved by the story of the main character, who is trying to be a man, who is trying to be free, to think by himself, to like and love by himself, to be a man. And it's a very, very important story, very tender and very clever. And I think not in that way, of course, not with that kind of favor, but we all know that kind of process. The tension between your individual goals and your own freedom, and your family, when your community, and the tension between an individual and community. And it's shown in a very tender way in Doli Bel. It's a great film. And Emir Kusturica, it's important too because he created a new language, his own language, which is completely consistent. There is no director who can tell stories as Emir tells his stories. He has a very specific style, and it's very specific and very consistent and very powerful. So it's very impressive, and I think other directors respect him a lot, and there is no director trying to imitate his style, because I think it would be very dangerous to try to imitate that style without all the consistency he has.